Hi, today is January 23rd, 2026, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 123 for the year, Tree Trunk 1, 1967. At the Whitney earlier this month, I was struck smack in the face by a striking work called Tree Trunk 1 by Kunieé Sugiura. As I first approached it, I couldn't tell if the work had sculptural elements to it, by which I mean it looked so three-dimensional that I thought it was made, at least in part, from parts of an actual tree trunk affixed upon a canvas. I was more astonished as I got closer to see that the work is actually flat, and when I read the card, I learned that it is actually photographic emulsion and acrylic on canvas. I took a photo and then immediately looked at the photo to see whether the work's illusion of three-dimensionality would translate in a photo, and I was delighted to see that it did when I zoomed in on it. Unfortunately, I can't remember whether the work was part of the Surreal Sixties show, in which case it would no longer be there, as that show came down on the 19th, or whether it wasn't, in which case it probably is still there, and I could encourage you to see it. There are, of course, many things in the world to be sad about right now, but still, this makes me a little sad. I wouldn't mind going back and taking another look at it myself, but I just don't know if I can. Poem number 124. Hard to say. Why did Carl keep talking to Jim? It was hard to say. Did Carl ever find his conversations with Jim pleasant? No. Did their heated exchanges ever make Carl feel edified or educated? No. Did Carl get a rush of endorphins or experience some other kind of pleasant chemical reaction when talking to Jim? No. Did Carl ever have the satisfaction of feeling that he had persuaded Jim of something? No. Did Carl have a sense that he and Jim had mutual respect for each other? Carl found Jim cynical and calculating, and he imagined that Jim thought Carl was naive and gullible. So, no. Did Carl consider Jim a friend? It would be difficult for Carl to consider anybody who had Jim's worldview a friend, so no. So why did Carl keep talking to Jim? It was hard to say. Poem number 125, it's a haiku, proposal. How about hate friends? Like TV shows you hate watch, only they're people. Poem number 126, the opening. The opening was completely dissatisfied with itself. It was a gambit, and whenever anyone fell for it, the gambit felt ashamed of its own trickery and falseness. But whenever anyone didn't fall for it, it felt like a failure. The opening wanted to be open and above board, but then everyone would see the opening for what it was, and no one would fall for it. And then the opening would feel like a failure even more often than it already did. Nor did the opening want to be trickier, even though that was the way to greater success. The worst part about all of this was that since the opening was an opening, it was afraid it would never reach a conclusion. And the last poem of the day, poem number 127, the conclusion. The conclusion considered Muhammad to be its biggest hero. Muhammad never came to the mountain came to Muhammad. This was inspiring to the conclusion, so the conclusion decided that it would not come to anyone, that anyone who wanted to conclude would have to come to the conclusion. But unlike the mountain that came to Muhammad, nobody came to the conclusion, which is why, so far, nothing has been concluded. All right, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate you.